Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the East Riding of Yorkshire series. Together with the unparished city of Hull, it forms the county of the same name. There's 172 parishes here. Which one are we in today? Welcome back to the East Riding of Yorkshire, everybody. Now, normally I would put a card on one of those notice boards, but at some point yesterday I managed to drop them somewhere. I don't know where, and so I don't actually have any at the moment for these next few villages, which is a little bit annoying, but never mind, it doesn't matter. Nikki's already found something already in this place. We'll check out what this is in a moment. We're in the lovely little village of Hollym. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Hollym is a small village and civil parish in the East Riding of Yorkshire, once again falling within the area known as Holderness. It's something of a satellite village for the town of Withernsea. The settlement appeared as Holderness Lake in the Domesday Book, but was known as Holam and Holeym amongst other names, all of which mean the same thing: homesteads near the hollow. It's situated approximately 2 miles south of Withernsea and it's on the A1033. Dairy farming, pig breeding and cereal farming are the main occupations of the parish. Most of the 400 strong population is centred on Northside Road, which is sometimes referred to as Main Street. Other homes are widely scattered around the parish. Many villagers commute to Withernsea or to Hull to their daily work. Hollym used to have a railway station for doing just that from 1854 until 1964, and it was named Hollym Gate on the Hull and Holderness Railway. That's now gone, meaning car or bus is the only way to get here. And get here you should, because it's lovely. It's got a well-known gnome home which manufactures garden ornaments. Also in the village is a garden centre and a recently formed archery centre, and Hollym also borders the sea, so if you venture out here, you're never far from the coast, although that coast is constantly shrinking. Let's get to it and see what Hollym has to offer before the Holderness coast erodes away. We begin what was a leisurely morning walk around Hollym in a small garden on Northside Road. Straight away, this has got some interesting things, like a time capsule buried under the ground. There's also a tree which was planted to commemorate VE Day, and there's a bench too which celebrates the life of a local village matriarch by the name of Kathleen Fisher. This little garden used to be a pinfold. We're used to those by now. It was a pen for stray cattle. It was built using large sea boulders and was restored some years ago as a rest area for residents. Now, I thought I'd not got any cards on me, but Nikki remembered there was one in the window of the car, so Hollym did get one on its notice board after all. Cheers for that, Nikki! The village at one time boasted both a Wesleyan chapel, which was built in 1860 and closed in 1979, and a school which opened in 1808 and closed in 1963. All children now attend school in Withernsea. As we moved further along Northside Road, we came across an old article which was about a former military building which was turned into a village hall for Hollym. More on that later. At At the same property we found perhaps the best example of yarn bombing we've ever seen. Check these out, they were great. They've been made by knitting round food cans. So creative. Now we come to the parish church of St Nicholas, which is a Grade 2 listed building. Life in the village once revolved around the church, the Plough Inn public house and the village post office. Whilst all three of those buildings still stand, not all are in use now. The church was built some 400 years ago, it was restored in 1725 and rebuilt in 1814. It's very similar in style to one we've seen before. Nikki can't resist a graveyard, so we are going to have a little look around this one. This church reminds me so much of the one in Burstwick. It looks so similar. The markings on the wall just look almost the same. It's not often we see a brick church, really. The walls are of yellow brick with red brick bands. The churchyard walls have been rebuilt recently too, although my source had no date for that. As far as we could tell, Hollym doesn't have a freestanding war memorial. On the wall of the church is this tablet. What astounded us was the number of people from the same family who went to war. We also weren't sure if the Plough Inn was still in business. It's a 200-year-old free house of wattle and daub construction. If it is still open, my research told me this is the base for Withernsea Rugby Club. Just pausing here, waiting for Nikki to catch up. You got sidetracked by a horse, didn't you?
Yeah.
You got a massive smile on your face, so that tells me it was a nice experience.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've got an affinity with animals, but the poor lady on the horse, we just saw this car and it just came flying down, and there was a flipping waspy thing, absolutely no regard whatsoever for the fact that that lady was on a horse. And I just said to her, he wasn't very mindful, was he? And she went, oh, she says it happens all the time, which is really, really bad. So today's public service announcement, are you ready for it? If you see a horse, slow down. You get spooked very easily, and the last thing you'd want is to perhaps cause an injury to the rider, so slow it down. And if you're in a village setting, even more so, slow it down. Horses, children, even some dogs get nervous. Slow down.
So Nikki, not content with fussing a horse, you've now fussed a dog, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a greyhound cross. I think it's got some sort of Irish wolfhound in it.
Oh right, okay.
It was kind of like long, sort of, you know, wiry hair like the wolfhounds have, but the body shape and type of the greyhound. And the poor thing was pulling his owner's arm out of the socket, trying to chase a cat down there that we saw running across the bottom of Vicar Lane. I think it's Vicar Lane, but the cat actually lives up there. So the cat goes on a wander and teases the dog.
The land here is punctuated by drains and channels which serve the surrounding farmland. The village is located on very fertile boulder clay soils with a red clay subsoil only 7 metres above sea level. The village hasn't always been solely about farming either. There was once a brickworks which closed many years ago, with some of the houses here made using the bricks produced from it. This area of Holderness is great for strawberries. You might remember Keyingham from last time we were out here. Hollym has a pick your own strawberry farm located along our next road. There's a small campsite on this road which I was going to capture, but then we saw this and couldn't resist. There's a horse in this field, people, and you really shouldn't try to enter. Holeym is very much about farming, that much is certainly true. A lot of the village is taken up with farms and farm buildings. Check out this lovely little plough outside Eastfield Farm. There's a few of these benches around, isn't there, Nikki? And they're all the same style.
Yeah, and these are sort of ones that are built to stand the test of time. They're on a decent concrete pad. They're made of, the ends are very thick, durable. It's like a plastic, but it's kind of got fiberglass in there. And then you've got the metal rails, and the bench boards are made of the plastic stroke fiberglass mix.
Yeah. One for the fans of post boxes. You might remember the Victorian post box way back in Searby in West Lindsey. Here's something even rarer. This one is a Georgian post box, signified by G2R. Most of Hollym consists of narrow country lanes, which are certainly not intended for every type of vehicle. This sign really only states the obvious. We've almost come full circle now back to the start. There's two more things of note. One is a garden centre which has got a coffee shop, some eggs for sale, and even some glamping pods. Holym's village hall at one time was the former Spur Naffy, which the article was talking about earlier. I'm happy to be wrong on this, but we weren't convinced that this was the same building. What's happening, dear?
Well, not that I can see, unfortunately. The Hollym show this year has had to be cancelled. It would have been yesterday.
Oh.
But it's had to be cancelled.
For what reason?
It doesn't say, but it's a shame. But yeah, it's a nice new looking village hall here. So the previous one that we saw on those newspaper articles must have served its time and been replaced by this lovely structure.
And lovely it certainly is. And there we go. Okay, we're almost around the village because we started literally just there. And so we'll hop back in the car. And I've got one more thing to show you, but that's coming after today's picture bit. Welcome to Holeym Airfield, which lies just to the north of the village. This is a campsite which has the most amazing view over the sea. I was actually expecting an airfield here, albeit a small one, but it seems its days as an airfield might be over now. There doesn't seem to be any grass landing strips here anymore, and given the coastal erosion, its days as a campsite could be numbered as well soon. Whether or not it's still active as an airfield is debatable, but if it is, it's suitable for light aircraft only. To the west, there's another private airfield, again just north of Hollym, which is known as Hollym West. What is certainly not up for debate would be the Red House B&B, which is directly opposite. If camping's not your thing, you can still get a sea view from here, although who knows for how much longer. And here at Hollym Airfield we've got a brilliant view over the sea, haven't we, Nikki?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yep, blue skies, bit of breeze, not too hot. I could sit here all day, but I don't think my stitching would do well because I'd be chasing thread up and down the Holderness coast. But yeah.
Well, if you like sea views, I've got a bit of good news for you. The next place we're going to, just to the south of Hollym, has plenty of sea views because I need to capture the sea quite a few times in that episode because I need to talk about the coastal erosion, and you can definitely see that here on the Holderness coast. Time for us to move on and get on with it, eh? Get cracking with it. This has been the parish of Hollym, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.